our colleague Mike DeBonis just reported on a statement she sent out to House lawmakers. She calls today a shameful assault made on our democracy, and said she's consulted with her fellow top Democrats in the House, as well as Defense Department leadership, the military, the Pentagon, as well as the Justice Department, as well as the Vice President. Of course, not the president himself, but the vice president. And she says, quote, "We have decided we should proceed tonight at the Capitol once it is cleared for use." And she tells the House lawmakers, "We'll be sending y'all guidance on what this means." This is fascinating, Libby. We have been hearing reporting, and we saw tweets from even some Trump allies, Senator Lindsey Graham in South Carolina, saying, or just feeling this need to finish what was horrifically interrupted right as it got started. A reminder that this happened right as the first challenge came in. I'm not saying there was any coordination understanding, but this is just what happened. Right as the first challenge came to the first state, Arizona's legitimate electoral results, Mitch McConnell just given this like 10-minute, really impassioned speech where he basically said Trump is just full of conspiracy theories. He used the phrase conspiracy theories. And Senator James Lankford had started to speak. They were about to have their 2 hours of debate, and then they all had to be evacuated. And here we are now. There's this groundswell among those lawmakers who are evacuated, many of them in undisclosed locations, some of them originally in their offices, to want to finish what got so horrifically interrupted, to want to finish their constitutional duty to confirm that Joe Biden is the winner. And as you've said many times, and it bears repeating, that is what Congress will do. They have the votes to do that. Here's the next part I'm watching, and Pelosi gets at this in her statement, Libby, is, will there be more Republican challenges to state results? How do Republicans move forward and continue to challenge these legitimate, completely legal electoral college results in the states after this? They were doing it on baseless fraud allegations. Mitch McConnell called them out on it in his speech this afternoon, a speech that could have been written by Democrats, most of it. How do they go forward and do that? So Pelosi talks about this in her statement, or she hints at it. She says, I'm quoting here, "We always knew this responsibility would take us into the night. The night may still be long, but we are hopeful for a shorter agenda. But our purpose will be accomplished." By shorter agenda, it seems like she's really hoping that Republican senators in particular just stop trying to challenge the results. And that would put an end to them, because even if House lawmakers, which tend to be a little more radical, do continue to try to challenge them throughout the night, you need a senator on board to make it happen.
Yeah, that would be the most expedient way to get this process moving. Sungmin Kim is reporting that Leader McConnell is telling members they should go back into the chamber tonight to project strength after today's catastrophe, per two senior GOP sources familiar with this message. That's from our colleague Sungmin Kim, who covers Congress and the White House. Rhonda Colvin, let's go to you. You know, we are wondering how Republicans may choose to act in this moment. Washington State Congresswoman Cathy McMorris Rodgers, a Republican who has served in leadership, is saying that she is not going to object now to the process moving forward. So this is showing some movement here, Rhonda.
That's right. This probably with the climate of.
Rhonda, we're having some trouble hearing you. Can we try again?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, we started the day thinking we would have this series of objections, and I think the mood has changed here. This is a very somber evening right here on the Hill. I'm thinking back at other times where members have had to face some of the ugliness that is in the country. Think about when Gabby Giffords was shot, one of their own. She was a House member from Arizona. When she was shot, many people gave pause to that and started thinking about gun reform. So unfortunately, sometimes these instances lead to the members taking a step back and changing some of the discourse and the rhetoric that we've been hearing. So I just also saw a statement from Ben Sasse, a Republican senator, who has, throughout the Trump presidency, has spoken favorably for the president. But after today's event, he put out a statement saying that lies have consequences, and this is a direct result of the president's rhetoric for the last 4 years. So there are Republicans who are taking a stance and saying, enough is enough, we can't co-sign this. And I think that this does change the proceedings that we were all here for today. I think this does change the temperature a little bit, where we're probably going to see a little bit more measure from these Republicans if they don't at all abandon their idea for objecting.
All right, Rhonda, thank you so much. Rhonda, you just have kept reporting today relentlessly despite what's going on around you. Thank you for all that you've been doing. Amber Phillips, I want to turn to you for a couple of pieces of news here. One, I'd like to get your response to the news that Congresswoman Morris Rogers plans to reverse course now. She's an example of someone who is now saying she will vote to uphold the Electoral College results because of what's happened today. Amber, let's start there.
Yeah, here's one member of Congress, a Republican member of Congress, clearly someone who had calculated that she needed to be, for her job and her constituency, with President Trump in challenging these Electoral College results, even though leaders like Mitch McConnell in the Senate and former Republicans like Paul Ryan had called that undemocratic in so many words. I think Paul Ryan used those exact words. So anyway, so here's Cathy McMorris Rodgers. She was in House GOP leadership, if she isn't still, forgive me for not quite remembering, saying, I'm not going to be a part of this anymore after, what has it been, 5 hours of just watching this invasion, this attack on her place, her workplace, the U.S. Capitol. That's notable, Libby. Will we see more? This is not a household name, I think, in Republican politics. It's not a household name. She's not a household name.
That really changes
politics.
So much.
There are as many as 90, maybe even 100 to 150 House Republicans who had signaled before all of this that, yes, they were going to challenge results. I do not know how much we read into this with her.
James Hohmann, yeah, as Amber and I were talking about, Congresswoman McMorris Rodgers is not a member of Republican leadership anymore, but we have heard from other members of Republican leadership today voicing concerns, and I'm going to leave it at the word concern about what's been happening in the United States Capitol. Congresswoman Liz Cheney is someone who has been in leadership, who has, been voicing disapproval of the president for a while now, and his actions and his words, and in effect has been one of these Republicans who's been either directly or indirectly warning that what the president says and how he says it could lead to something like this, James.
And she's actually done it, Libby, at great political risk to herself. She's number 3 in GOP leadership. Liz Cheney wants to be Speaker of the House. This puts her at odds with a major part of the conference, and she has carved out this position. She's tried to thread the needle. She's been pro-Trump at times. Yep. When a lot of people would have preferred that she not. Cathy McMorris Rodgers is a really interesting one because she's not in leadership anymore, but she is chairman of a very powerful committee, and she's someone who's been around for a long time. She's someone who
she's the top Republican on that committee.
Yes.
Right.
And thank you. She represents a Spokane, Washington district, which is eastern Washington, basically Idaho. Borders Idaho, her district, and so she clearly felt pressure to do this, and